This Christmas, there will be no peace on Earth. That was the actual tagline for AVPR. And you know what? My ass was in a seat on Christmas bloody morning to watch that god-awful movie. I was filled with hope, hoping against all hope that just maybe AVPR would fix all the problems that the first AVP movie had. Prego fetish. But you know what? Sandy left me a consolation prize. He left me AVPR on PSP.
AVPR was developed by Rebellion Developments, the same guys who brought us all the good AVP games, and it would be published by Vivendi in November of 2007. The game was released for the then somewhat popular PlayStation Portable. I had received a PSP the previous year and was quite enamored with it around this time. I could play Battlefront 2 on the go and watch Aliens on the go, all in a mostly portable package. It was those primordial days before the smartphone did all of that and better, most of the time at least. So how was AVP on the PSP? Remarkably, not terrible. Today, we are looking at it on RetroArch as that is the most enjoyable way to play the game. AVP on PSP is a third-person hack-and-slash game wherein you control the wolf predator as he tries in ever-increasingly idiotic ways to cover up the existence of the predators. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Looks like that was the remnant of an early draft or something, because it's going to be kind of hard to explain the massive explosion of an alien spacecraft and a bit of swamp gas that reflected the light from Venus. And, those skinned bodies were people that died from totally natural causes, man. You control Wolf as you ensure that everyone in Raccoon City Ripoffburg dies from natural causes. You have all your cool Predator kit. Wrist blades, shoulder cannon, cloaking device, and a basic weapon leveling system? Rebellion, are you sure the PSP was the best choice for this game? Because, I don't know if you noticed, but this is a real game and not just your typical portable trash. Rebellion even included a handy-dandy lock-on feature, since this is a third-person hack-and-slash game after all. The camera is a bit stiff, and the controls are a little off. There was only so much that Rebellion could do to make this game control like a real game. The PSP came before the era of portable joysticks, and just had a D-pad and a little joy nub thing that was as nasty as it sounded. In each level, you complete objectives and gain honor points, and you use those honor points to upgrade your weapons at the end of each mission. You even get a level select, and it's not just a linear series of lame encounters. It is really quite remarkable just how much content that Rebellion was able to jam-pack onto that little UMD disc. So how does it play though? Pretty okay. The game is bloody stiff, but you can pull off attacks well enough, and the game gives you a good amount of xenomorphs to fight, and even with the very wonky controls of a PSP, you can fight them, and it's fun enough. But most of the time, though, you're still going to be flailing around, but I never died due to the poor controls, and I did enjoy the gameplay back in the day, and in current year on RetroArch, I had a pretty decent time playing the game. The missions the game gives you are pretty standard, but they ensure that you are playing a real game and not just bashing Xenos all the time. Different levels will have you sneaking past enemies, and this stealth works well enough. All the gameplay mechanics that Rebellion introduces in this game work, which is more than can be said for most PSP games. Rebellion even threw in a skirmish mode, where you jump in and kill a few Xenos. And that's where we get to my main complaint for the game. It's too good to be on the PSP. This could have been another Rebellion victory, but instead it was relegated to a console that only assholes like me bought. This has all the depth of a PC or mainline console game crammed into a little handheld that was doomed to lose to the behemoth that was the Nintendo DS, thus ensuring that only AVP fanatics like me would ever play it. Had it been released on a real console, the controls could have been tuned up and the camera fixed. As it is, Rebellion did the usual bang-up job and created a damn good game in spite of the PlayStation Portable's limitations. Graphically, the game looked pretty good on the PSP, and today on RetroArch, it looks like something that is at least on par with the PS2. The levels are nice and detailed, even though their textures are pretty crappy. They do not go on over long, but they aren't too short either. The 3D models are remarkable for how great they look, and Wolfie Boy looks way better than what you would expect for something on the PSP. Sound is generic as you would expect, and music, well, that's even more forgettable than the voice acting. Story for the game is thankfully far far better than that horrible movie, as it follows the only reason why people say they like AVPR. You play as Wolf as he tries to have some relevance to the plot. He has been sent in to clean up the previous movie's mess, and you do this throughout the various levels. Thankfully, the ending is completely different. The final boss fight for the game is a helicopter, and then you blow up a hospital with some xenomorphs, and the end. Wolf survives, and after he had to suffer through being in a goddamn Resident Evil 2 ripoff, he deserves that.
Yeah, I know this is another short video, but don't blame me. There was never that much AVP content in the first place, and I'm kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Still though, for all the limitations that the PSP brought, Rebellion was able to develop a pretty adequate game, and I do recommend giving it a try on RetroArch because it's still an adequate AVP experience worth having. And so I am General Lotz, wishing you good AVP JAG and good AVP SNES or whatever makes you happy.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and please consider leaving a like or a comment, as the algorithm desires your soul. And I want to thank all those fans who have supported this channel, both past and present.